Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, ICE seeks proprietary data and tech to monitor up to 1 million people. And GSA plans to flip the role of tech resellers with its OneGov strategy. It's Monday, June 23rd, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into today's top headlines. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is looking to hire a company to help it mine through data sources, including social media, international trade data, blockchain information, property records, and the dark web. The latest example of the agency looking to beef up the tools and platforms it uses in its enforcement operations. In a government procurement posting published late last month, ICE said it was interested in deploying a service that can continuously monitor 1 million people or entities of interest and analyze trends for the purpose of identifying potentially criminal and fraudulent behavior before crime and fraud can materialize, among other goals. In a request for information for data analytics shared by ICE's Investigations and Operations Support Office in suburban Dallas, the government component outlined a range of requirements that it might seek from a contractor, like staff support, data analytics, and access to proprietary data. The point of the contract, the agency said in the posting, is to establish a blanket purchase agreement that would allow any entity within ICE to use the service. The contractor, according to a detailed document included in the posting, is supposed to use a wide range of data, including its own, to help determine, for example, whether people or entities are violating or attempting to violate U.S. immigration and customs laws or participating in government programs through potentially fraudulent misrepresentation. The agency said agents and other ICE staffers required data analytics support for screening and vetting, developing leads for analyzing criminal activity, and conducting analysis of criminal networks and associations. In other news, as the General Services Administration looks to form direct relationships with IT manufacturers to bring better value to agencies through government-wide deals under its OneGov strategy, it's going to disrupt a staple of the federal IT acquisition ecosystem, value-added resellers. A significant portion of federal IT contracting traditionally goes through resellers that provide software services on behalf of original equipment manufacturers that often don't have the experience navigating or selling to the federal government. Those resellers like Carasoft, CDWG, and Ironbow, however, specialize in that and provide additional services like integration, customization, and support for commercial IT products. Lawrence Hale, Assistant Commissioner of the IT category in GSA's Federal Acquisition Service, said last week during a webinar hosted by George Mason University's Baroni Center for Government Contracting that what GSA is trying to do by working directly with the manufacturers is flip that relationship. In going straight to OEMs for IT contracts, as GSA has done now with several vendors like Microsoft, Google, Adobe, and Salesforce under its OneGov strategy, which was announced in April, resellers won't be eliminated. Instead, they can still serve as authorized partners or subcontractors to those IT manufacturers, Hale explained, whereas the opposite is often true today. He said, quote, "We recognize that integrators and resellers play a valuable role in this. That relationship will be, quote, up to the OEM and won't be dictated by GSA," he said, adding that, quote, "There's not a one-size-fits-all." For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, as always, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.